What's up, Nitro Gang? So we have a Duratrax Evader ST on the bench. This is a truck that I got on OfferUp for $20, including just a bunch of tools like the Red Cat starter, nitro starter set, and a radio. So radio is just an old Futaba AM radio, so I'm not going to go into detail on that. But as far as I can tell, it's mostly complete. Servos all seem to be there. You can hear the servo moving, and it has a fair amount of aluminum upgrades like the steering blocks, A-arms, also all aluminum body shocks, and the chassis is not terrible. Also, it has this really nice cooling head you can see right there. This is kind of like the ones they use on the EK4s, the Unlimiteds, where they have a little protection part, and also it has a metal pull start handle. Now this one, the guy was running it on this really old O'Donnell fuel, high performance fuel. This is 20% nitro. It's the race blend. I've seen these before, but I've never actually run it. Honestly, I'm not going to run it on this because, it's just super old. And I actually opened it up. Let me open it up for you right now, but there's actually like a zip tie in there. So yeah, not good. I actually don't even think that's a zip tie. I think that's the thing for the fuel cap or the fuel tank, where it's like one of those zip tie things where it's like a little handle. Anyway, I'm just going to use that nitro for just like what I use my top fuel for, which is just like cleaning stuff, because the fuel tank in my RC10 GT was pretty gummed up, and it had a lot of old fuel, so I just flushed it out with that, and it seemed to work really good. So I'm just going to be restoring this truck, and this I'm going to keep because it's really nice and it has a lot of upgrades that I like. So the diff seems to working correctly, so when I spin this tire, it does the spur gear moves and both tires spin, and then if I try hard enough, I can overpower the diff. Now on this truck, the gear mesh seems to be quite tight. I can, like, some of the teeth, partially the teeth on this are kind of ground down a little bit on the clutch bell. Don't know if you can see that, but you can see there's just like a little segment there that's all where the teeth on the clutch bell have just been kind of worn down. So that's no matter, we can just loosen it up a little bit. But as far as I can tell, this is fine. And the seller did say that he tried to start it, but he couldn't. I think he's just a noob, so because this does spin over with good compression. Sorry about that, I forgot to zoom out. But this does spin over with good compression. So I can hear the pinch, and also the flywheel is moving. We're going to be rebuilding this, so as I always do with all my RCs that I buy used, I always just rebuild the engine just to make sure there's nothing in there. Like this TRX 2.5 that I just recently did a video on. This one, the bearings were bad, so I ordered the Fast Eddie ones on eBay. But yeah, this has the original Duratrax. I think it says 18 on there, but yeah, it's a small block, and you can tell it doesn't run because look at the air filter, guys. See all that gunk there? It's basically a repeat of my TRX 2.5 RC10, where this was the air filter. You can see not much left of it, but no matter. The Traxxas air filters, the ones that come on the Pro 15s, those are fine, so I'll just use that. Fuel tubing seems fine, but these aren't clear. These are just like yellow ones, so I might replace them. I don't know. I don't really care. As long as this thing runs good, it's fine by me. The tires seem to be good. These are pretty squishy, and they don't have cracks, and the rear ones are good as well. First, I'm just gonna take off the old battery pack in the back right here, and I'm just going to take off some of the lids, like this one right here, the lid for the servo, and I'm just going to probably also take out the fuel tank too, right there, and just spray everything down with simple green. And after that's done, I'm just going to rebuild the engine, and we'll see if this thing runs. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay guys, so I've just removed all the fuel tubing from the car, and I'm going to take off the fuel tank. Now, as far as I can tell, it just uses these 4 Phillips screws right here. So we're just going to unscrew those and see what happens. And this car is fairly dirty, so yeah, we're going to be using a lot of simple green. So yep, nothing is stripped, it seems, so that's a good sign. And also this chassis isn't too scratched. Like, I'll show you a picture of my GT that I recently restored, and that one took a lot of abuse, especially on the rear end right here. So get all the screws out, and fuel tank is out. So yeah, this thing, normal, it has just the 4 O-rings on the seals, and then, yep, no gummed up fuel in there, so that's always a good sign. So I'm just going to remove the O-rings and then put this in the sink and wash it. So yep, chassis is pretty dirty. That's all fine. We can always clean that out. And I'm going to proceed to take off the lid right here. Also, I have no idea what this is. This is probably the antenna wire broke, and then he just tried to tape it together. I don't really care. I'm getting rid of that. Also, the main downside is there's no body. So that's off. Yeah, I think this just comes off like that. Let me get a pair of pliers and see what happens. There we go. So yeah, going in the garbage. And just set this to the side. And I already did take out the receiver because I was using it in my other truck, my RC10 that I'm selling on eBay. So there's just a tangle of wires down there. I'm now going to take out the engine. And this one, like all trucks, it's just 4 screws and then 4 or 3 screws on the bottom. This one, I'm just going to take it out from here, right there, and I'm just going to take out the engine that way. I'm not going to mess with any of the mesh because it seems fine. Take off the air filter. First, what we'll do is take out the linkage. So that's 1.5 millimeter collet. So that's all good. And this just comes out. So that's the linkage out. And our carb is free, so looks like my RC10 GT, I'll have to take out the manifold first, because you can see there's a manifold right there, but the engine screws are down there, so I can't get access to the screws, so I'm going to have to take this out first. So first of all, I'm just going to remove, I think this is a 2. No, it's a 2 millimeter. But I'm going to remove the muffler first. So it is just this little screw right there, and I'm just going to take it out. Pretty easy stuff. Hope it doesn't strip. No! It's stripped. Okay, hold on. Let me just force it. Oh, it came out. There we go. Yeah, my hex driver wasn't in all the way, so it kind of just stripped itself out a little bit, but it came out as soon as I applied a bunch of pressure. So let me just take off the manifold, and there's our exhaust. Looks pretty clean, or just, I mean, there's no scratches, so that's all good. I'm just gonna take off the manifold. So you can see, guys, there's, well, it's kind of hard to show it on camera, but there's two screws, one right there and one right there. I think those are both 2.5s. So we can remove those, and then we can remove the manifold. Get my 2.5 hex and stick it in there. Start screwing now. So stop. Okay, there we go. Just thread it out of there. Seems to be out, so I'm gonna start work on the other one. Nope, this one's not stripped as well. That's a really long screw. So there's our exhaust manifold. The gasket seems to be on there, but it's just really dirty, so might have to buy a new gasket set. No big deal, these are easy to find on eBay. Just put that on the side. And we have access to our engine screws now, right there. I'm just going to take out these two exhaust screws and put them with the manifold right there. Okay, so now that we have access to the 4 screws, I'm going to be taking them out. Okay, so I removed all the screws, so got the engine out. As far as I can tell, it's pretty dirty. So I'm just going to take out all these screws and then just brake parts cleaner on everything. So there's the chassis. Now that looks pretty nasty. So everything else seems to be all well. I haven't tested the servos yet, so I'm just going to be simple green everything here and just cleaning everything off, and then I'll get to the engine rebuild. So I'll do the chassis, the fuel tank, the manifold, and the pipe. Once that's done, I'll get back to you. What's up, Nitro Gang? So this is a couple days after my previous segment, as you saw, and I already did get this all cleaned up. I just had a ton of stuff to do and I was really busy, so I didn't really get to play around with it, and that most of the stuff has been cleaned off. Now, while disassembling this, I actually broke one of the links. So while I was taking this car apart, you can see this wheel is just hanging off, but I broke one of the linkages. Now, this is just the tie rod for the camber link adjustment, and it looks like the previous owner actually broke it first and then JB welded or something, but it broke again when I was just messing with it and stuff, so I'm gonna have to find something for that. I think these are just standard size 4mm ball links, so I'm just gonna get the end right here. Maybe the RC10 GT ones will work, I don't know, but that's just the case right now. But everything else seems to be fine. I just cleaned up everything, and you can see it's like new, and diff seems to be working well. So you can see both outputs move, and everything is nice and good. I did take off the heatsink cover, so this is it. So this is meant to be like a replacement part, so it's just to protect the heatsink. And you can see the engine is quite muddy, basically. So yeah, let me just zoom in there. You can see all the mud that's formed. But engine piston seems to be fine. You can see in there, right in there through the manifold area. Piston does move freely, and it seems to be good. So I can tell it has good compression. And also the clutch bell spins very freely. That's a good sign. But the carb is a little bit gummed up, I think, so I'm going to take this apart and clean it up. But everything else seems to be fine, so I'm just going to start taking this apart for you guys. So I have my 2mm hex. I'm just going to take this off. Okay, so I've removed all the screws. Actually, one of them did start stripping, and I could just like turn this the screwdriver, and it would just slip inside the thing. But after a bunch of just applying downward pressure, I did manage to get it out. So we're going to take off the cooling head. I have not looked inside this engine before, so let's take it off. As far as I can tell, the head button looks pretty good. What about the piston? Piston is not green. You can see that. I think it's just the gold color. But yeah, it looks good. Sleeve doesn't have any weird score marks. Oh man. I don't know if you can see that there, but there's some scoring there, so I'm gonna turn on flash and then I'm gonna show you guys close-ups. You guys, so that's the scoring, the close-up on the scoring there, but you can see that doesn't look very good. You can, right there's like a little line where it forms. I actually don't know if that's scoring or it's just some kind of residue, but it doesn't look too good to me. But I mean, this engine has good compression. I can feel it, the pop. So, I mean, it should run. If not, no big deal. I only got this entire truck for 20 bucks, so we can just put something like an SH18, which I've been meaning to try for a while now. So, if it doesn't work, no big deal. But I really want to get this thing running, so oh well. I'm just gonna put in some after run oil in there. Should be enough. I'm just gonna spin it over a couple times. Yeah, I can feel it has good compression. You can hear that pop. So I'm just gonna take off the back plate and stuff, and I'm just gonna take off and inspect the bearings and the crankshaft.